Hi everyone, and welcome to the second General Youth Commission meeting of the year. Hope everyone is doing well this evening. I call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. We will move on to roll call now. So District 1, Commissioner Mishra is absent.
No, present.
Oh, sorry. Didn't see it. Commissioner 2, District 2, Commissioner
Present.
District 3's commissioner is absent. So District 4, District 5, Andrew Liu is absent. District 6, Commissioner Gonzalez. District 7, Commissioner Megan Wong.
Present.
District 8, Commissioner Gonzalez Nunez is absent. District 9, Commissioner Singh present. District 10, Commissioner is present, and Citywide Commissioner, Citywide District Commissioner. Sorry. We have reached quorum, so we'll move on to item 2 of the agenda, our consent calendar, which includes the agenda for today's meeting, last meeting's minutes, and attendance, and District 3's policy summit. So is there any discussion on the items? Okay, if not, we will move to a vote to approve the consent calendar. So do we have any motions?
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
Seconds? All in favor?
You have to say it.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 3 of the agenda, public record. No correspondence has been received, so we'll move to open forum.
So we have Paul Soto on the line.
Thank you, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. As a point of order, you need to be informed that consent calendar items, because it's something that is voted on by the group, it needs public comment. It requires public comment because you're taking a vote on it. So just in the future, be very aware of that, because public comment is critically important. That's why these meetings are televised. So in the future, just so that you know, go ahead and double check it. But I'm correct in what it is that I'm stating because I've been doing this for 6 years straight. So consent, any kind of consent calendar item that requires a vote requires public comment first, and then you take the vote. So what I'd like to talk about is that within the past 9 months, the past year, there's been 9 attempts by the San Jose government, by the city attorney's office, and by the mayor's office to have me arrested. Recently, 2 weeks ago, one of them was inside the public library. Now, I was up in the California room doing research on Sonny Madrid, who is the founder of Lowrider Magazine. 9 police officers, including a lieutenant, went up there to arrest me. So the San Jose Public Library has a snitch that's working with the government inside there and don't want me anywhere near research. Now, it's one thing to look at a citizen as dangerous when they have a gun or a weapon or
Thank you for your comment. We will take into note of your comments on the consent calendar. Thank you so much. Do you have any other public comments?
We don't.
Then we will move on to discussion / action item A, 28th Street / Little Portugal Transit Oriented Development, presented by Mr. Cotuaco, Ms. Lopez, and Mr. Hanson.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Anthony Lopez. I'm with BTA, and I'm here with.
My name is Woody Hanson, here as a consultant working for BTA on the 28th Street Little Portugal station.
So we came to the commission in April to share some information about this project, And we're returning now to gather some more information and to refine some of the details that we're putting together about the project. I'll let Woody talk in detail about that. But I just wanted to put into the record what 28th Street Little Portugal Transit-Oriented Development is. Transit-oriented developments focus growth around transit stations and along transit corridors that facilitate multimodal, carbon neutral, equitable, and inclusive neighborhoods that are sustainable and resilient. BTA's transit-oriented development program works with municipal, nonprofit, and private partners to encourage the development of equitable, mixed-use, residential, commercial, service, and employment centers in places that will help increase transit ridership and contribute to a vibrant community. Among BTA's TOC policy requirements are that at least 25% of housing units developed on each site be affordable. So that's just a little intro to what a transit-oriented development is as far as BTA is concerned. And again, I'm going to let Woody get into details about what we're doing with this particular project at this stage. And I'll have him introduce what a design development framework is and the boards that you see and the information that we're going to be talking about.
It's possible to pull up the packet that we sent. Great, thank you so much. Okay, great. Thank you, commissioners. It's great to be back here in front of you. Show of hands, how many are new commissioners to the board since the last time we were here? Great, awesome. What we'll show on the screen is actually the same thing that you're seeing up in front of you here to my left, which is 5 boards that we've been doing some community engagement around this future project. And so Anthony used the term design development framework. What that is a urban design strategy for the area immediately surrounding the future BART station. So there's about 11 acres of BTA controlled land, once the BART is delivered, that is vacant and ready for development to take place. And given transit is a place where we want people to go to focus population around, we're talking about increasing the density immediately surrounding the station with new homes, new jobs, and small business and parks. And so last time we were here, what we were talking about was we were trying to gather information from you all to better understand what to you is unique about the neighborhood, what the important aspects of development that you see are that we should be considering as we're working through this development project. And so today what we're trying to do is we actually gathered that same type of information from other students at San Jose High and Cristo Rey. We also went and talked to a number of different organizations within a mile approximately of the station site itself. And then also have been present at Viva Parks events, Viva Calle, and other events to try to get more information from folks on what they think is unique and special about the neighborhood and things we should be considering. So today what we're trying to do is refine that further. So we've heard a lot of things that people want, and we've got limited space, but we want to do the things that are most impactful. And so I'll walk through each of the boards individually and then invite you all to come up and participate in an exercise, but I'll come to that in a second. If you go to the next slide. A little out of order, but so then. Let's see.
I can learn to understand you much better if I can get
Perfect. Thanks, Siri. This is
our
perfect.
AI
You just
bot,
scroll down a little bit further. So one thing that we've done as part of this development is try to develop a few clear goals and benchmarks that we want to establish for ourselves. And so one is that we want to make sure that we are highlighting the cultural identity of this neighborhood and that we're addressing economic disparities through the development that we're creating here. Another is that we want to encourage new development that's economically feasible and successful, which is obviously important because otherwise it won't get built, but also that it's grounded in place, that it feels like not Anywheresville, but about Little Portugal and 28th Street. And also finally, something really important to transit-oriented uses is that we're making walking, biking, and taking transit preferred ways to get around. not your car, but jumping on a VTA bus or walking or biking. And so a little bit further down on the page, and these are all, this is all the information that you'll see over here. So I'm kind of giving you an orientation to the boards, but you're welcome to look a little closer. So high level, what we're talking about is about 700 new homes in this area. As Anthony was suggesting, 25% of those being affordable. 500,000 square feet of office, which is about 2,000 jobs. TBD, to be determined what use specifically that is, but then additional community services, retail, and small business, and parks and open space. So at the very bottom of this page, we have a bird's eye view looking down on the station, which you'll see on the right side is where the Five Wounds National Parish is. Does everyone know Five Wounds National Parish? That's a familiar? No, okay, perfect. If you scroll down a little bit more. So there's a beautiful church on Santa Clara Street. Does everyone know the one I'm talking about? This is just after 28th Street as you're going down Santa Clara to the east. So that is a church that's built in a very Portuguese style, and that's because it was built by Portuguese immigrants that came here in the early 1900s. But that's just a frame of reference. The site that we're actually talking about is in the orange boundary that you're seeing surrounded here. And what you're seeing on the plan is a representation of where we imagine land use going. So the yellow is where housing would be, and the blue is where office would be. And the ones that you see hatched could be either or. And so what you can see is office is located generally near Highway 101 and on the larger blocks, which is better for office uses, whereas there's smaller blocks immediately surrounding the station help with walkability and moving around the station itself. The pink that you're seeing would be ground floor retail or active uses such as community services. And then the green is the various parks and open spaces that are included in the area. So the three things that we want to ask you about today are what sorts of activities you would want to see in the open spaces here. What do you think is lacking from the surrounding area? What are the things that you think are well used by you, your peers? We also want to see, we want some input on what sorts of retail, community services you would want to see here on this site that you think would be beneficial. And then the last one is we heard a lot of fascinating stories from people who know this neighborhood really well. And so we've tried to give some themes to those stories that we heard. And what we want to hear from you is which of these stories do you think resonates and deserves to be told here, that you'd like to see told here. So with that, we have some Post-its over here. I invite everyone to stand and join me at the boards, and you'll get three, they're not votes. You're not deciding on anything today. We'd love you to indicate your preference on the boards of the things that you think would be most beneficial at the station or you think are lacking in the city generally. And then everyone will come back to their seats and we'll identify some themes and take some questions. Make sense? Okay. Join me over here.
You're first? Okay, so.
So just to orient you, these are the stories that we've been hearing. So with each of these boards, up to 3, make your selection by just sticking it on the picture that you think best represents. So that's the stories. This one's about retail services and community uses, and this one's about parks and open space.
And then if you want to add some information, there's options. Just let me know. We have Post-its and we can write in. Feel free to ask us questions.
3 in all or 3 for each?
3 for each.
Okay.
If you can't decide, you won't get penalized.
Any questions?
Sure, sure.
Yes, it really.
If you're like, I'm all in on the play area, yeah, go for it.
I think we'll give everything up. We're coming short.
This is how they do their work, so this should be familiar.
Oh, cool, great, great.
Familiar with, sure, the development?
No.
Are you familiar with the park?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so this is based on park description. BTA builds the park stations and improves the property in Sanford County and outside. Apartments are on property. This is part of that as well, where BTA. So we go.
Oh, you had a little monkey.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't have a little monkey on me.
Gonna get my money for it.
Oh, no judgment here. No judgment. We work until.
Oh.
We're not gonna walk out of each one. For those who've been around. how they feel.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
They should not be very polite. People got to talk about it nonstop. But it's more just kind of give a very high level.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to check.
Yeah, no, they should all know, and understand the Hampton Youth Commission memo was passed unanimously as well as. Thank you. So I muted her and then, so I muted and then. Just like unmute. Okay, good. Yeah.
I can mention.
Okay, I don't know about it.
He was with us last time, so. Andy, right?
Yeah.
Good to see you again. Yeah. So basically, Bart is right? And everywhere there's a station.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I saw.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than everything. It's not like
So
just the
in
station,
first
right?
degree-
No, so that's a good point, I should have called that out. Yeah. Station is actually thing there, it's kind of a circular tube that goes in there, so you go down escalators.
Yeah.
This is the parking garage,
Oh.
which basically is the
Okay,
to help
yeah.
park, because you have some people who are like, exactly. Put it on the back of the site, you know.
And so that's what we're asking. Where we talk.
Yeah, I have, yeah, sure.
In this general area, is there more resources that they're
Any
lacking?
questions now?
So out of this list of.
Yeah, that's basically what we've been asking people, is like, what is the things you wish you had a little
I don't know if
bit
you.
more closer to, you know, and so we're trying to get that information from everybody who's there, right? But what we listed were the things that came up our first round of engagement, giving us the input on. So some combination of these things.
No, it's noted by, and they just reach out here.
Yeah, so we've done a couple different things. One is, we actually had youth engagement at Western Ray High and San Jose.
Okay, so you're good.
Okay, what you got?
Oh,
I know. I was But I figured you would have more.
Large scale, workshops, city run program.
And I'm just trying to.
For all areas surrounding the site, we have been at parks, High and Portugal, Street Fest, those sorts of things. And then we've met with about At about 14 events and maybe 30 or so organizations.
It could see over there. What's your text? It could just see you guys on it.
No, yeah.
I'm trying to think of a way.
Because I'd say so even for the workshops.
I can't like use all my.
Who are going to-
And then-
No, but like I can't access like.
But I would say if we're each about 50, I think at the larger buildings, probably with 80 to 100 each, so that's already probably 400, and then the smaller, so probably.
Yes, I need to write that. I've been talking about that.
No, you're so good. No, you're
So maybe you should say 300 as like a reserve
Because you do like. No, I mean like.
Yeah, I have to have, well, it's just. So yeah, I just need to.
I told you that.
And then I like. Yeah, I kind of want to see, I want to send that one, I want that to go like by tomorrow and then.
That's true.
And then we get like a small break.
On top of that.
Near my school, there's a.
As you can see on our board, too, we've also said, trilingual. We actually like go to a with a housing app. 75% I mean, we're always looking for good ideas, right? Like,
Okay, so briefly, because you're asking a question, it really should be addressed so that everybody can hear it. So I'm very sorry to make you do it all over, but Andrew, could you please raise your hand, have the chair call on you, ask your question, and then have him answer it again, so that it can be heard on the record.
Okay, I don't think Andrew had a chance.
We do have to, once you go, yeah, and then we do have to go to
Yeah,
public
we're
record,
happy to
so if
answer
you can hold
questions.
your
We
question.
appreciate all the questions. And
I can actually just start
they're
answering.
great questions.
Yeah,
So
so,
before, I mean,
yes,
if it's a part of your presentation, you can go for it, but once you're done, we do have to move to public comment, and then we open it up to the commissioners for questions. So
understood.
if you can like address it while you're talking.
Sure. So, two things that came up that I think warranted some clarification up there. One is that if you noticed on the plan, there was a gray sliver on the back side of the site facing Highway 101. That's a parking garage. So just to clarify what that is, and the station was actually right in the center, kind of in the middle of the green space that I was showing before. So just wanted to clarify that. And then I think it does merit maybe talking about how we tried to engage people in this process. And so we've obviously been back to you guys, and this is our second time, but we have tried to be multi-pronged in our approach. And so one aspect is that there's a city-led planning process for the surrounding area of the station. And we've had now 3 workshops as a part of that. We also had a survey that went out in 5 different languages. And we got back, I think, 300 or 400 responses. And we also had a group going around and door knocking and trying to get people to take the survey through Communiversity, if I remember right. Then for this specific effort, we've had about 14 or 15 stakeholder forums where we've had different organizations come and join us, and we've talked about and asked similar questions to what we've asked you in these 2 sessions. And then, like I mentioned before, we've been at both San Jose High and Cristo Rey to try and engage more youth in the process, which has actually been a piece of planning in this neighborhood for a long time. Back in 2013, there was an original plan before this, before BART was finally decided where it would go. And there were youth engaged then. So you can imagine they're 10 years older now. And now we're doing another round. And so we're looking forward to seeing how that informs the plan and how youth use it in the future.
So there was a question about how we got to where we're at. And I was explaining that, BART wasn't always part of the plan for transit here in Santa Clara County, but then it did become part of the plan. And so as BART moved forward, as Woody was just referencing, VTA saw an opportunity, not just with BART, but with all of its basically unused property or underutilized properties. So talk about park and ride lots, easements that we have for various activities. All of those have basically been put into a portfolio that is transit-oriented development based. So we are basically trying to build housing wherever we can on property that we own, that VTA owns. And so this is no exception. This property around the BART station, VTA controls it, and VTA is responsible for developing the guidelines that developers will use when they actually build something. And it's a great opportunity because most of the stations that we have are quite small. The parking lots are small, but in this case, we have literally a neighborhood that we're going to be building here, and this is called a transit-oriented community, not a transit-oriented development. That's how we reference it. And so I would encourage all of you to go to our website, vta.org, look up the projects page. You can look up 28th Street, you can look up Berryessa, any of our projects, and there you can learn all the details. And you can also sign up for updates if you want to follow along and get information as things progress. And I highly recommend that you do that, because if you're a Spartan like I am, so happy to be here, this development will actually be in your backyard. And at some point will have a big influence on San Jose State University. If you look at the front of the map here, you'll see a trail. And that trail is the Five Blues Trail, and it's a defunct railroad that used to service San Jose Steel. And that railroad goes all the way down to Williams Street. So in effect, it's going to be a connection between the university and this development. So you will be able to get there safely without having to drive in a controlled environment. Part of that will be the San Antonio Bike Boulevard that already exists. I'm sure that will morph and change when this trail is developed. So again, I recommend that if you want more information, just go to our website. We have lots and lots of information there. And this isn't the only TOD or transit-oriented development that VTA is working on. Is there anything else that people were asking?
No, well, I was just going to quick summarize, and then we'll take questions or see if anyone had any other ideas that you weren't able to reflect on the boards. So when we look at parks and open space, I took a photo. That's why I'm looking at my phone right now. The two highest, most representative answers were an area for farmers market, and also athletic facilities. So I think those sound familiar from when we were just at San Jose High the other week. They very much like those too. So totally appreciate that, and love any questions or comments you have on that. For retail services and community uses, retail and shopping centers stood out, and also food hall. Looks like it stood out for folks who identified preference there. So people are hungry, maybe because it's 7 o'clock at night, but also appreciate that we want more of that. And then for stories, people really thought that telling the stories of local artists and art, as well as local business, were the two higher vote getters. So with that, thank you so much for your feedback. It is having an impact. We're recording all this. We're going to put it in a memo to make sure that it's memorialized with the project, so that when this project moves forward, any developer that picks it up has this information. But I'll take if anyone has other ideas or wants to ask a question, we're here. So shoot.
Thank you so much to our presenters for the time and for sharing this wonderful presentation. Before we go to public comment, I would like to remind everyone of the code of conduct when giving public comment, and would like to request that any comments made stay on topic. So do we have any comment? Okay, so then we are open to commission discussion. Anyone? Commissioner Wall.
Hi, so I'm Commissioner Luong, and I was wondering if you guys have an expected start date for construction, or is this mostly concepts that we're working with?
You want to talk about BART?
Yeah, I was just going to say this development is in line with the BART extension. So a project like this usually takes at least 10 years, a decade or so. So you can see that, or you can imagine that the development will start coming together about that time. There could be aspects of it that are developed earlier, like placemaking activities and things like that, but it's most likely going to be completed after BART is completed and operating.
So basically, and then from there, the development process for the buildings and the open space above ground happens. So you imagine about a decade until passengers are riding on BART. It's going to be another, at least 3 to 4 years before you see any buildings there, and probably a decade or so before it's all built out.
Okay, well,
Yeah, so there's lots of housing that needs to be built, and there's for good reason. With respect to the community, bringing in this population of people, sometimes all at once could be kind of hectic for the community involved, all the local markets. Is there a way to respect the community's needs and interests while building these housing projects?
That's a great question. So I would say 2 important things about that. One is that this project does not displace any existing housing. So the land that is this development is happening on is a couple of industrial businesses that are being relocated as a part of this process, but no existing housing is there presently. There is a separate but adjacent city-led process to rezone basically the area within half a mile of the station.
And that's in this map here.
Yeah.
And in fact, you can see the 5 Urban Village map.
So the thicker black line that surrounds that larger perimeter. The important thing to know about that is, as a part of that project, they are doing an anti-displacement study. And so what that's intended for both businesses and for residential. So what that's intended to do is identify what the resources are that are needed to help either residents who are being displaced either directly or indirectly as part of this project, which again would be no redevelopment has to happen, but it's if a landowner comes in, sells their property, and then somebody rebuilds something new, that might displace a renter who lives there. And so trying to identify what the services are that renter will need to find a new place in the neighborhood. And then same with small business, to avoid small businesses closing or moving away from the neighborhood, because that's been an important aspect of what we've heard.
And I'll add that village there is the Allen Rock Urban Village, and the Mexican Heritage Plaza is a leader in that community and is working to do similar type changes to the area that we're talking about here, basically creating a cultural district. So BTA works very closely with its partners, including the city of San Jose, to do these things in concert. Woody mentioned, the surveys and the work that the city's doing. We're in the middle of 5 workshops right now. We're at workshop number 3. The previous workshop was an anti-displacement workshop, basically providing strategies and information for local residents. And so you can see more of that as we get closer to BART operating and developments coming online. My team actually is the community outreach team at BTA. And so that's our job, is to basically get out into the community, find the stakeholders, get their feedback, and make sure that they're being heard and that we're taking action that is in line with what the community expects.
Anyone have any other questions or feedback? Well, I'd like to ask something. So I know that this is still in its initial phase and we're still getting community feedback, but as this thing progresses and as the project goes on, are there any mechanisms by which we're looking to engage the community? For example, let's say we have an art mural. Is there any way like the community can get involved in that? Sort of, what are the ways in which they can get involved in this project?
Yeah, great question. So we actually did do an art engagement where at Chile Mole Sole, that Mexican Heritage Plaza. I don't know if anyone went or is familiar, but there was a community mural that we created where there was kind of a blank, not quite blank, some outlines on a page, and everyone was asked to paint the things that are important to them in the neighborhood. So just an example, I don't think that solves the challenge you're talking about, One of the things that we're setting up right now is basically the process of how we move forward, given how far out the development is. And so the things that you'll see documented in the report that we create is how we would expect developers to continue the engagement, because this is not where it ends, right? This is actually where it begins. And so what we'll try to do is articulate, you know, we think it's important to engage with youth, particularly at the surrounding high schools. We think that the art you need to have an art process established upfront to ensure it's local artists who are developing that work. Here's what the sort of themes we imagine being given. We know what the stories are that are resonating with people. So what we're doing now is bringing that into a singular place that basically gives some knowledge to developers to be able to bring it forward and bring it to life.
Again, I'll add that from BTA's perspective, that is an integral part of the work that we do. If you look, again, go to our website, look up the EBRC or the Eastern Spark Regional Connector, which is another project that's underway that's going to extend Allen Block Light Rail to Eastridge. We just had a round of art concept reviews. Prior to that, there was a series of meetings that led up to that, which was basically selecting an artist and then basically providing feedback for that artist to develop a concept. And so if you travel around in anywhere in Santa Clara County and you look at BTA infrastructure, you will find that we integrate art into the infrastructure. And so we do have a process for that. And one is currently underway. So if you go to our website and look that up, you'll find that there's a YouTube video, and that video will show you that meeting, because just like your meetings, they're recorded and we make them public. And you can see how art is integrated into our projects in real time.
Hi, I'm Commissioner Mitchell from District 1. So as Commissioner Liu mentioned, creating this development around the station would directly impact the communities that are living around it. In the past, what communities have you directly surveyed or reached out to? Or what communities do you plan on reaching out to see what this area specifically wants to see?
I'll let Woody speak to the DDS in particular, but then I can expand again from BTA's general perspective.
Yeah, sure. So we took an approach that, to the extent possible, we wanted to focus our attention locally. I recognize this body is citywide, but so this is not representative of our typical engagement. Usually what we've been trying to do is focus on housing developments that people live in within a mile of the site, the mobile home facility that's within a mile of the site, businesses that exist along Santa Clara Street or Julian. And so that has been a focus of ours, which is how do we really tailor it to that area immediately surrounding the station. We've also been really intentional about representing language throughout our engagement. So BTA's been amazing about having translators on site at every single event that we've had. We represent 3 languages across the board in the engagement that we've been doing for more kind of larger events. And then the survey the city did was done in 5 languages, which kind of furthered that outreach. We can always be doing more, right? Andrew and I were talking about, or Commissioner, apologies, Commissioner Andrew, and I were talking about, you know, how do you engage more door to door with residents? And, you know, it's tricky because it's such a time intensive thing. And so what we've been trying to do is set up forums and venues that are as close as we can get to being convenient for people, and then hope that they turn up. And so there's always room for growth, and we're looking for ways to do that, but we try to be digital and analog and in-person and virtual and everything in between. And we wish we could do twice what we did.
Yeah, BTA is focused on equity. So the work that we do, we know it affects people, that it can be a benefit to some people and others maybe not. And so we work really hard at making sure that we identify communities when we go into them. So for example, generally speaking, when we have a project, it could be a construction project, it could be a station related project, we'll take a half mile around that area and identify who the residents are, who the stakeholders are. If, again, what he was saying, if we identify the use of multiple languages in that area, we'll incorporate them into our communications. And we even go to the point of making sure that all of our materials are ADA, meet all the ADA requirements on the website, so that if somebody wants to get that information after the fact, like I'm recommending, you can do that. You can use your your readers and whatnot online. So generally, again, BTA is focused on equity, and we do everything that we can. Again, Woody's right, we can't always get it right, but we certainly do take an effort to do that.
One of the things that, so the result of this will be what we keep calling the DDF. So that's going to be a document in the end. That's going to go out for public comment. We're going to present it to the board, BTA's board, and then that'll be published online. So we'll be sure to share that link when that is available.
Again, you can sign up for updates and it'll come to you automatically. All you have to do is drop in your email address.
I'm Commissioner Tilo. I had a question specifically about affordable housing. I know there's like a 25% predicted rate here, but I know that that's always shifting as like market changes and development changes. So my question is, how is the BTA ensuring or keeping themselves accountable for providing this percentage or meeting this goal?
BTA is run by a board, and that board consists of elected officials or appointed officials from city government, from basically our partner agencies and municipalities. So they ultimately approve our plans and how we move forward and the things that we do. Given that they're elected officials, they tend to listen to their constituency, but more importantly, our policies guide our actions. So when you talk about the 25%, that's a minimum. So for example, today there's a development at Berryessa Transit Center that is, the agreement was just signed, we're moving forward. It's 100% affordable. So it doesn't have to be 25%. I think on average, we're like at 40% or something. So I think the number is going to go up, not down, when it comes to what affordability means. And our partner there is the Office of Supportive Housing with this County of Santa Clara. So if you want to learn more about the formulas for AMI and what affordable housing actually means, in real terms, like how does that equate to your paycheck and how you can afford to live there and this and that, go to their website or go to the county. The Office of Supportive Housing has a lot of information and can help you better understand exactly what that means.
Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize if the commissioner already asked this question, but I have to ask. Is there a rough fiscal analysis of what this is going to cost? And if so, where is that coming from, right?
Where is the money to develop? So, yes, we run what's called a pro forma, which is you identify what the cost of construction is to get to a bottom line number in the many, many millions, right? And frankly, right now, it doesn't look good. Like everything is infeasible. I think you all are aware that not only do we have an affordability crisis, but we have a labor shortage. And so cost of construction is very high. So that is an issue that we face, but fortunately we've got a long runway until the project takes off. The intention is that BTA will partner with at least one developer, potentially multiple developers, to build everything that exists that is going to be part of this project. And so BTA will lease their land to a developer who will then put all the money in it and expect a return on that investment. Does that make sense? So it's not public money necessarily that's being put into it, although there's some nuance when the county housing department does build 100% affordable housing. But a developer will be the one to actually make this a reality, not BTA.
So it would be a partnership.
Exactly.
Yes. Most of the affordable housing units, for example, the equation is basically what's available, from federal grants, from state grants. And the other important aspect of this is that this property, BTA is not selling. So BTA retains the property and it's a ground lease for these developers. So they pay the ground lease. That helps us afford to build what we have to build. It affords us to maintain and improve services that we have across the board. So the developers are basically what is it, like, it's a temporary ownership of the land, basically. They're gonna build a structure, gonna have so many years to have a return on their investment. But at some point, it's either gonna be passed on to someone else, or VTA can take it back over. So we don't give up the land. I think that's an important thing to understand, and that's about all of our TODs. We're not selling land to build housing. We're leasing the land to developers, as Woody described. And that in turn is a benefit for everyone, really, because most developers, they want to look at their bottom line. They want to time out their investment, their return on their investment, and then look forward. And same thing with VTA. We want to basically put this property to good use, and then 80 years, I don't know what the ground lease period is, but it's a long time. Then revisit where we're at, where the economy's at, what the community's at, where the community's at, and then continue to move forward. But that's one thing that people don't understand, is that we're not selling land or public land. It's still in the public trust.
Anyone else? Okay, then. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing that project. We will be moving on to item D of the agenda. So we will be moving on to set up our ad hoc committee for environmental.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
For environmental advocacy, which can contain no more than 5 members. And this committee aims to inform and cultivate environmental advocacy among youth and upscale existing solutions through collaboration with local organizations, city departments, and school clubs as part of the second objective of our work plan. The expectation is that you will meet regularly throughout the year in order to meet our work plans. So we have public comment. We'll move on to public comment. Okay, so we are open to community discussion. Does anyone have anything they would like to say? Okay, then we will decide this committee, and I would just like to note Chair Huang's interest in participating in this committee. So we will now move to decide who will be present at the first ad hoc meeting. So those interested, please raise your hand, and if you are not, please abstain by not raising your hand. So all of those in favor of Commissioner Giancarlo, Commissioner Singh, Commissioner Mascarenas, and Chair Huang will be part of the Environmental Advocacy Act. Great. Moving on to item C, ad hoc exploration of sexual harassment and assault support services. So this committee will explore and understand sexual harassment and assault support services through collaborative work with local organizations and city departments to conduct research and support an awareness campaign by youth as objective 3 of our work. The expectation is that you will meet regularly throughout the year in order to meet our working goals. So do you have any public comment? No? Okay, we'll move to committee discussion. Anyone have anything they would like to say? Yes.
Since I'll likely be leading this ad hoc committee, I just wanted to share that ad hoc committee members can expect to be responsible for research on 162 organization-based in San Jose that work with youth on such issues. And we'll probably meet about 1 month from now. And we will try to collaborate with these organizations to execute some sort of workshop that can include but not limited to reaching out to schools to see if we can set up a sexual violence prevention awareness workshop there, or organizing a free empowered self-defense workshop.
Okay, so we will move on to a vote. So if you are interested in participating, please raise your hand. If you're not, please abstain by not raising your hand. So those who would like to participate, and I would again like to note Commissioner Huang's interest in participating. Okay, so we have Commissioner Pradeep Kumar, Commissioner Bansal, Commissioner Luong, and Commissioner Mishra, as well as Commissioner Huang on the ad hoc for exploration of sexual harassment and assault services. Great. Then we will move on to item 6 of our agenda, which is reports and information only. First up, we have a report from the city manager's office by Ms. Laura.
She will be reporting online. Laura.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Laura Buzo, assistant to the city manager in the city manager's office. as I mentioned previously, I'm supporting Deputy City Manager Angel Rios with the development of the Children Youth Services Master Plan. I had an opportunity to present to all of you last month on the update on the master plan. So I don't have too much more to share other than we are continuing to draft the master plan document. And we did have a great meeting earlier today with city staff and representatives from the county as well as community-based organizations and school districts to talk about how we can best work together over the next coming months and years to more effectively serve children and youth. One of the things that we are looking to strengthen is our approach in serving children and youth who are in need, be it needing support for towards their academic achievement or mental health services or food access or housing, whatever resources and supports that they need in order to thrive in our community. And so I'm very excited that we were able to come together earlier today to begin some of those discussions and begin thinking about how we can work together more effectively. So I look forward to continue to provide you updates. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Busso. Moving on to item B, council liaisons announcements by Mr. Alex.
Thank you for having me. Nice to see you all again. Good evening. I'm going to share some highlights from recent council actions that the City Council has taken since your last meeting on August 28th. First, on the City Council's August 29th meeting, their item 3.3 saw the City Council vote to modify the city's revolving door policy to better align it with state policy, applying the revolving door exception to all 501c nonprofits and streamline the city's election and campaign administration policies. At the September 12th City Council meeting on item 3.4, the City Council voted to approve new bargaining agreements with city employee unions and to make related adjustments to the city budget. At that same meeting on item 6.2, City Council voted to modify building energy efficiency standards, serving to increase building efficiency, mandate electric and solar readiness, and incentivize all electric development. At that same meeting on item 7.1, City Council voted to, which you're all very familiar with, Council approved unanimously, and so exciting for all of you. And on the City Council meeting on September 19th, on item 4.1, City Council accepted a report on the independent police auditor's recommendations, as well as the San Jose Police Department's responses to those recommendations. Some of these included, for example, tracking when officers point firearms at individuals as uses of force, and providing more specific guidelines for officer searches. At that same meeting, item 6.1, City Council voted to accept a report on the city's long-term trash plan program and to submit a plan by the city to a state agency to further reduce pollution of storm sewer system and waterways. Additionally, I want to share some project and policy updates in the city. There have been a number of recent project committee meetings that Vice Mayor Rosemary Kamei has joined, including for Saratoga Avenue safety improvements, El Paseo to Saratoga Signature Project, affordable housing at Winchester Boulevard and Driftwood Drive, all occurring in September. And additionally, an important policy update in the city is that the city's housing element process is still ongoing. The city recently submitted a new draft to the state Housing and Community Development Agency for review. The state sent back a letter making requesting the city make changes to their plan, which is a state mandated strategy for planning to meet housing needs in the city in the next 8 years. Now the city is awaiting to make changes to their housing element to send back to the state agency. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Dersh. I would just like to ask if any commissioners would like to give any feedback or ask any questions. Okay. Thank you so much. Moving on, we have a report from PRNS. Ms. Hawkins.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to share my screen really quickly, so bear with me. All right. If somebody could give me a thumbs up. Oh, I see it on the screen right there. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Lauren Hawkins, Recreation Superintendent for the Recreation Division of the Department of Parks, Recreation, Neighborhood Services. And I'm just going to share a little bit about what PRNS has been up to in the last month or so. So some department updates. We're excited to announce and share that we've hired our first racial equity manager. Her name is Veronica Amador Perez. She's just getting started orienting herself with the department in each of the divisions that comprise PRNS. So we're excited for her to learn a little bit more about us and see how she can help us be more equitable in our work serving the community. We also have some upcoming recruitments. So we always have a intern opportunity available for those looking for internships. And we are also hiring a supervising park ranger and a park maintenance worker. And all of that is available on the city's new HR web platform that just released, I believe it was earlier this week or end of last week. So if you know anybody in the market that would fit this role, please encourage them to apply. Next up, we have some really great council updates. Oops. So in August on the 15th, former Recreation Superintendent Ed Solis received a commendation from Councilmember Torres for all of his work with Viva Calle and the Viva Parks and the placemaking team. So congratulations to him on that and his retirement, and for building a long-lasting program that continues to thrive in the city of San Jose. Also at council, just a few weeks ago, actually, Councilmember Foley and Councilmember Dwan presented a commendation recognizing our disaster service workers for their work earlier this year, supporting the community in the inclement weather that happened in January and March. So kudos to them and all of their hard work in serving residents and standing up a shelter in very, very quick time. Also within the division, we have a couple of updates, within the Capitol Division, we have some upcoming ribbon cutting celebrations. So on October 10th, the Helene Park will be doing a ribbon cutting at 3 p.m. And then just a few short days later on October 18th, Pellier Park will also be doing a ribbon cutting at 5 p.m. And then coming up in just a few short days on the 1st of October at 11 a.m., there'll be a groundbreaking, for the flea market at Buzzrone and Mercado. So if you're available, definitely swing on by or check us out on our social media platforms as well. Within the recreation division, it's getting to be the spooky season. So there's tons of free events coming up. But one of the big ones we have going on is towards the end of the month, October 24th, our Rock After School program will be celebrating its 15th anniversary. There'll be a special treat coming up on the 24th in the evening. So if you're around City Hall, take a look at the rotunda in City Hall and see if you notice something different about it. But all of our community centers are getting ready. So they'll be doing free trunk or treat events. There's a haunted house, a spooktacular event, our all access sports and recreation program. We'll be doing a hike with Emma Prush with our park rangers. And actually this weekend at Roosevelt Community Center, there is a paint and play at the Roosevelt Hockey Rink, a day of just adaptive hockey and community fun. And then starting next month as well, we'll have a series of fall break camps to support children and families while their kiddos are out of school for that time. And more information for that can be found on our registration platform and the department website as well. For the community services division, this past weekend, they actually hosted their Safe Community Summit. And from all accounts, it was very well received, very popular, bringing that back from prior to the pandemic. That was hosted at Independence High School. So thank you to Eastside Union School District for allowing the department and the San Jose Youth Empowerment Alliance for utilizing their facility space to support this phenomenal community event. And then also in October, there's going to be the annual neighborhood conferences at Yerba Buena High School.
Public in 30 minutes. After 8 p.m., the library will remain available to educate students with current
No
hours
worries.
until 12 a.m. Once again, the library will close to the public in 30 minutes.
Alrighty. I think I had said on the 14th of October, the annual conference, neighborhood conferences will be available for folks interested in attending. Also, our Beautify SJ team is doing a community survey. So we'd love to hear your feedback about how we can shape our neighborhoods together. So if you're interested in checking out that survey, that information is right there for you and any other interested folks. In our Parks Division, they have a lot going on. They received an annual grant from the Water District going on long term. Happy Hollow Park and Zoo, beginning on the 5th of September, now opens from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the weekdays and then 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the weekends. Excuse me. Most recently, the Foundation for Happy Hollow Park and Zoo raised $150,000 at its event on the 16th. Also, for those of you that were able to partake in the most recent Viva Calle, Viva Calle actually made a pit stop at Happy Hollow Park and Zoo. So residents and community members alike were able to enter Happy Hollow Park and Zoo for free. And they said they had around 150,000 folks coming into that park that day. Also, as many have probably heard, the operator for Raging Waters has announced that they do not intend to continue operating the park in 2024. So PRNS is in the process of looking for new ideas and programs, and we welcome those. So reach out to the Parks Department or Parks Division if you have any interesting thoughts or recommendations. We welcome all of them. And lastly, for the Parks Division, they have ongoing events for beautification. So if you're interested in that, you can visit that URL. It's for all events, not just in the month of September. All right. And then lastly, they're doing their annual survey of the trails. So again, give us your feedback. We want to know what we're doing well and areas for growth. And we appreciate that. And with that, that is all that I have. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you so much. Moving on, we have our report from the San Jose Library by Ms. Ornon.
Hi everyone, I'm Divya Kilambi, Division Manager. I present the library report. Last Wednesday, December 20th, the San Jose Public Library and SGSU King Library hosted a special community event to celebrate this library, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Library's 20th anniversary. With nearly 350 people gathered in the atrium on the first floor to celebrate this milestone year for our public and academic life. There were a bunch of performances, and the library also released 10 new limited edition library card designs that include elements of the library's public art and installations. It's a great time to get a library card since it's also National Library Card Sign Up Month. For the third consecutive year, the library is hosting its annual Fall into Fiction contest through September 30th. Entries will be published on the library short edition platform, and prizes will be awarded to the first, second, and third place winners in each age category. The library is celebrating National Hispanic Heritage Month, recognizing the contributions, culture, and traditions of Hispanic and Latin Americans through a variety of programs through October 15. Next month, the library is hosting October as Digital Inclusion Month to spread awareness of the many digital inclusion services and opportunities available at SJPL and our community partners. The 8th Annual Digital Inclusion Week is celebrated this year from October 2nd to 6th, 2023. There are also 2 new exhibits at King Library. We invite you to explore the hidden history of Filipinos in Santa Clara County in our current exhibit, Pinoy Town Rising. This exhibit focuses on the first wave of Filipinos who immigrated to the US and settled in Santa Clara Valley, specifically in San Jose's Pinoy town during the first half of the 20th century. This exhibit is on display at the King Library's California room on the 5th floor through November 20th. Thus, a special event with great speakers is scheduled for Saturday, October 14th. Finally, World on the Move, 250,000 years of human migration, is an interactive traveling exhibit that aims to expand the public conversation around topic of human migration. Developed by the American Anthropological Association and others, the exhibit will be on display at the King Library on the 3rd floor through October 20th. SJPL is one of only 15 libraries nationwide to host this exciting exhibit. For more information on these and all other events and exhibits, please visit our website, sjpl.com. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kalandi. I'll be sure to give my library card. Moving on to Commissioner Vice Chair report. Really, I'd just like to commend everyone who went to and presented at City Council and changed the law. Those who gave public comment that day, as well as the NSC report, which was approved, and our work plan is in full effect. Also, as for what I've done, me and Ms. Mola have come up with an outreach work plan to work on accentuating our parts of the work plan, and we will be presenting that at the next meeting. So with that, we will move on to the commissioner reports per city district. We'll start off with Commissioner, or Ms. Mishra, sorry. Commissioner Mishra.
Hi everyone, I'm Anya Mishra, the District 1 Youth Commissioner. My first update is regarding the 23-24 District 1 Youth Advisory Council. This month on September 3rd, I concluded the recruitment process and received 36 applicants, out of which I selected 17. Our first official meeting took place on September 15th, and we covered San Jose's governance structure, introduced the Youth Commission, identified youth issues, began brainstorming the YAC work plan, and presented volunteer opportunities, including the Safe Community Summit and Amity Summit. We also delved into the roles and responsibilities associated with several officer positions, such as chair, vice chair, secretary, outreach, and webmaster. In our next meeting on September 29th, I plan on holding officer application or elections for these positions and reviewing the Youth Commission work plan for this fiscal year. This month, in addition, I, along with youth commissioners for districts 3, 4, and 7, represented the Youth Commission at the annual Safe Community Summit, which brought together representatives, nonprofit organizations, and residents from San Jose, where I attended the Project Hope and mental health trauma workshops, and it was very informative. And that's all for me. Thank you.
I have 2 updates. My first one is regarding the District 2 YAC. In mid-September, I decided on the members of my YAC, and we have a total of 7 members. And we had our first meeting on Saturday, September 23rd. And we went over similar to San Jose governance structure, and we went over some events that are occurring in District 2 in the upcoming weeks, as well as what a potential work plan that could occur. And we have our next meeting scheduled for October 14th. And as a YAC and I, we plan to attend the fall festival that's occurring in District 2 this Saturday to promote our YAC a little bit more. And yeah, that's my thing.
Kumar, District 3, our chair is absent, so we'll move on to District 4.
Yes, so I'm working on developing my YAC right now. I've received 29 applications and I'm emailing them today to hopefully do around 20 to 25 interviews. Our first meeting will probably happen around the 2nd week of October. Besides YAC, I'm working on staffing and performing at this weekend's Mid-Autumn Festival in my district at Reyes Branch Library, which happens this Saturday morning. And aside from that, I also attended the Safe Community Summit, which was really, really informative and a really great learning opportunity for all the youth commissioners who were there. And yeah, I think that concludes my update.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore. Moving on to Commissioner Liu.
Yeah, so kind of good now. So October 14th is actually when we're gonna have our cultural festival that we're working on with our council member's office. That's been pushed back a week. That's at Escuela Middle School. We look forward to planning that. So if there's any community partners that would like to help us in planning that, that'd be most welcome. The next YAC meeting is this Saturday at Hillview Library. So if there are any youth who are interested in stopping by and seeing what's going on, we're there from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. So that's that. And then I'm continuing to work on the District 5 work plan, and I look forward to meeting with Councilmember Ortiz to discuss future goals and priorities for the District 5 seat.
Commissioner Liu, Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yeah, so I have two updates. One is about my YAC, so I'm currently reviewing applications and I hope to have our first meeting sometime in October. And then the second update is on the communications or just like aspect of the commission. So right now we're working on actively posting on our Instagram as well as starting to post on other social media platforms. So we'll be working with the executive board, just chair and Nolan to like solidify that plan.
Commissioner Gonzalez, Commissioner Maggie.
Okay, so I'm Megan Long, the District 7 Youth Commissioner, and my first update is regarding the D7 YAC. This past month, I spent time outreaching to Andrew Hill High School students. This has included delivering 40-minute presentation on civic engagement to their social justice program students and tabling at their back to school night. We received 20+ applications to our YAC, and I welcomed a team of 14. We are set to meet bi-monthly starting October 1st, and I'm also expecting a few more members after I focus on recruiting YB high school students. I met up with Councilmember Vianduan for a brief chat at the Community Health and Wellness event at School Library. I'm looking forward to continued communication with Councilmember Duan to discuss how to best uplift District 7 in the future. This past weekend, I ran logistics for the Mid-Autumn Festival at the Vietnamese American Culture Center, and I also attended the annual State Community Summit. This weekend, I will attend the Yerba Buena High School Mid-Autumn Festival and the Amity Youth Summit, and I'm looking forward to leading sexual violence awareness and support services at home. That concludes my
Thank you, Commissioner Wong. Commissioner Gonzalez. So as my first update, I'm still building my YAC. Right now, I have a total of 5 members. My first YAC meeting will be on this Wednesday at Hillview Library from 5 to 6. It's just gonna be about basically just for me to meet them and for us to discuss what we as a team want to do to accomplish as this year. My second update is me and Andrew will have a college workshop with Megan. Yeah. And my third update is I've attended a CAST meeting with Andrew. We were talking about mental health, as in my group, we were talking about mental health and on how we can change like the school rules or try to put a mental health rule in the school. That way, kids and students and students can have like a safe room, or like basically just a person that they can talk to comfortably, like as a peer. So if you have like a friend or if you have like a friend or a close friend, we'll basically do I just had a name. I forgot what it was. But it was basically just like us trying to change the school law about mental health, and that's it. Thank you, Commissioner Gonzalez. Commissioner Singh.
Yeah, so over the past month, I've been working to bridge the divide between the YAC and the schools involved in our district. So I reached out to the ASB program director in my school, and I haven't received a response as of yet. And I've begun the paperwork and process for establishing a YAC like after school club within my school to increase like youth engagement, so we can get the maximum voices heard. And aside from promoting my YAC, I'm looking into possible events that I can sign up within the city as in like me and the D9 YAC, and how we can involve ourselves in increased participation.
Thank you, Commissioner Singh. Next up is me. For me, I went to a couple of community events in my district. I went to a D10 LC and an ABCA meeting. And at the D10 LC, I was able to present about the youth commission and promote my YAC, which we actually got 4 members out of. So I was very thankful for that. We currently have 15 members split into 3 committees. And so we're in the process of publishing our website and SEOing it so that it shows up as the first result when you type it in on Google. We're also working on identifying policy areas which we can write memos about. So I think they've identified 5 areas which they can write memos about, which is really good. And then finally, we're planning 3 events this year. So we're working on planning the first one. And so that is very much in its initial stages. So that's what I've been working on. Commissioner Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you. So I have 2 updates as well. So the citywide YAC is now accepting applications, which have.
Attention, the library will close the public in 15 minutes. After 8 p.m., the library will remain available to SSU Spartans with current tower cards until 12 a.m. Once again, the library will close to the public in 15 minutes.
Okay, I'll just restart.
Sorry.
So yeah, I have 2 updates. So first, the citywide YAC is accepting applications. So those have been planned to close around November 10th, and we're aiming to have 4 to 5 YAC members across districts. And the first meeting should be in late October. And my second is for the native plant policy, which you guys have probably heard like 1,000 times now. We're currently developing an updated cost and location plan, which will be completed before the next meeting. And the citywide YAC's main focus this year will be the successful completion of that policy. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Singh. We will move on to, sorry. We will move on to item 7 on our agenda, future agenda items. So if anyone would like to announce anything that they would like to place on future agendas, now would be a good time to do so. Commissioner Wong.
I just wanted to give a heads up that next meeting in October will be approving the YPB survey. We were working on that as an ad hoc just yesterday, actually. So reformatting the survey from last year and adding questions that were pertinent to collecting ideas from the youth community, ages 12 to 25.
Anyone else? Well, I'd just like to add that we this morning created an outreach plan, and that will be on next month's agenda as well. Moving on to item 8 of our agenda, meeting schedule. So our next meeting will be in person on October 23rd, 2023 in council chambers. Finally, item 9, we have adjournment, but before that, I would like to wish Ms. Malloy a happy birthday next week on September 30th.
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday. So close.
That's fine. Thank you for everything that you do for us. And do we have a motion on the floor to adjourn?
I Commissioner Singh, motion to adjourn.
Any seconds?
I second the motion.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, This meeting is adjourned at 7:48.
Yay, good job. Let me take a picture of y'all stand over here.